All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Pass Controller Podcast, a show where a couple of best friends talk about the latest in video games or nerd culture. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we talk about Pokemon too much. Either way, we have a new episode for you each and every week, but this week is a special bonus episode, and if you're watching right now, you'll notice I'm the only one from Pass Controller here right now, but that's fine because we got a stacked cast of Pokemon trainers from around the regions? I don't know. Joining me tonight is, for the first time, and hopefully not the last time, is Normandy FM's own, or you may have seen his writing at Fanbyte, Kenneth Shepard. Ken, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm vibing. I'm spent 100 hours in this game, so I would love to just talk about it for about as long.
Okay, all right. Who is your least favorite Pokemon? Just so the people
My least
know
favorite?
your least favorite.
Sylveon is very close to my least favorite.
Wow, off the top. Okay, all right. I see where things stand. Also joining us for the first time, independent journalist. Videos all over the place. I feel like I see a new video from you every week. Maybe I don't. I don't know. Recently featured in the Yacht Club Presents.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
I saw your name flash up there. Luis Alamilla. Luis, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Happy to be, I guess, done with the writing work for this game. I just kind of want to play it some more, catch some Pokemon, throw some Pokeballs at things.
Yes, it is.
But happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy that you're finally on. Who is your favorite Pokemon?
Probably Ken's Pikachu specifically.
Ken's Pikachu specifically?
Like,
Got it.
Mine
Okay.
specifically.
You're gonna have to pry Ken's dead hands off of that Pikachu if you want it, though. So,
trying to get him to move out here.
well, you're gonna have to fight me, Jesse, and Matt, and probably others too. So, there's that as well. Also joining us, returning guest. You've definitely seen Odell everywhere, and if you haven't, I don't know what rock you're sleeping under. But from IGN to Game Informer to the Full Circle podcast, the truest Pokemon trainer I know, Odell Harmon Jr.
Yeah.
How are you doing
What's
tonight,
up,
Odell?
everybody? I'm doing good. Off of work, chilling. Ate some sausage earlier.
Oh, nice. So you're full, feeling good. Hopefully not too tired from work.
No, not too tired. Never too tired when it comes to Pokemon.
Fair. If you were a Pokemon gym leader, what type would you be?
Fire.
Okay. Who would be your ace in the hole?
My ace in the hole has been Torkoal, Volcarona, and Ninetales with an
Okay.
air balloon.
All right.
Because I don't know why Ninetales or air balloon just rocks for some reason.
All right. So you got to come with that water if you want to try to take Odell down.
Oh no, I beat water teams all the time.
All right. That's big talk.
All
Ryan,
right, we'll drop the links below from PAX Pokemon League.
were you a gym leader or you gave him the business?
I was the Elite Four member. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I was not aware of this. Also rounding us out this evening, coming back to the show for, I don't know, Greysun, this is the year you need to like make a dent and make Cam say like you're number 2, Cam. Sorry. You may have seen him on the show plenty of times. You may see his words over at Game Rant and occasionally his podcast, the Positive Player Podcast. Mr. Greysun,
occasionally.
Mr. Greysun Morales. Greysun, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm vibing. I got a hard kombucha over here, so I'm chilling.
Okay.
Happy to be here.
Who is your favorite Pokemon?
I like to go with Apom.
Okay.
That's just like a Pokemon I always enjoy.
All right.
Yeah.
Getting the number 1 spot, huh? That's the one. That's your boy right there. All right.
Yeah, the basic monkey Pokemon. That's
All right.
it.
Are you happy that he is in Legends for you to catch?
Yeah.
Do you use him in Legends?
I didn't really. No. I just because he's my favorite Pokemon, it doesn't mean he's like gonna be on my team.
Fair.
But also, this game is so different that I don't really have like a team. My Pokemon are just like constantly switching out.
All right.
But I got very excited when I saw him in the wild, and I caught like 20 of them. So
Okay. What
if
gen
that
is
means anything.
Apom from originally?
2.
Okay.
Gold and
All right.
silver and stuff. Yeah.
Does this game have the full list of Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl or no? I have no idea.
Nah.
No.
No,
Okay.
right? No.
Like I know it obviously pulls from other generations, but I wasn't sure if the full Sinnoh dex
Definitely has a
was
lot
there.
of them.
Yeah. Who got the cut?
Yeah.
Who's like a notable Diamond and Pearl Pokemon that didn't make it into this game? Is there like someone that's notable?
I'm curious about this now because I haven't thought about this. I'm gonna look up.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it
Pokemon
until
and
just now
see.
either. It's just popped into my head.
My mind just blanked. And I just played, we all just played Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond too, so.
It just goes to show that clearly the Sinnoh region has trash Pokemon because or all the good ones are already in the game, so we can't think of the bad ones. A couple of quick housekeeping things, and we'll roll right into the show. The PTC Movie Club for February is Dom's pick, and it is The Greatest Showman. So if you are interested in hearing us talk about The Greatest Showman, you can watch that movie at some point before the end of the month, and we'll talk about it in the last episode of the month. We'll also have a bonus episode for The Wiz. So if you also want to watch that movie and hear us talk about that, you can look forward to that later this month. Dom's picks will all be musicals this year, so yay. Unless you love musicals, then yay. So there's that. So before we even get into Legends, I kind of wanted to just as a gauge for us, for each other, and then for the listeners out there. What is everyone's favorite Pokemon game? And it doesn't have to necessarily be a mainline. Like if your favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Pinball, I mean, go for it. But why don't we kick things off with Greysun? Greysun, what's your favorite Pokemon game?
I think it's still like the Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like those remakes of Gen 2. This, I gotta say, Pokemon Legends is probably like my top 5 favorite Pokemon games, but I don't really know where it lands yet. I'm still kind of like on the
still
fence.
fresh.
But it's up there for me.
Yeah. Ken, what about yourself?
Ask me in like 6 months because it might be this game.
Okay.
And I would like to give it some time,
All right.
like away from like having just played it to like really sit with that.
Fair. Okay.
But it's a front runner right now.
All right. What would be with this out of the question? What would be the next Pokemon game that you?
Pearl.
Pearl.
I'm a Sinnoh sicko.
I didn't know you were a Sinnoh sicko. That's news to me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Who did you pick? Did you pick Turtwig back then? Okay. That shows you how much I know about Sinnoh. That I had to second guess the starter that I picked a few months ago. Luis, what about yourself? What's your favorite Pokemon game?
Probably with somewhere in between like Grayson and Ken, where at the moment I would say it's either Heart Gold or Soul Silver, just because of them being remakes. Are probably my favorite one so far for how much it did for the series and how much it packed in terms of content. But Legends, despite its flaws, is just so exciting that it's like just right behind it. And then like if there's some more content or if I put more hours into it, it could be number 1.
Okay.
But it's really close.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it very shortly, but it is a very good game despite its flaws. Odell, what is your favorite Pokemon game? I think I know. I'm pretty sure I know, but
well, real quick, I looked it up. Okay, the entire Sinnoh Dex is in Legends.
Okay.
They're all there.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it means the Sinnoh Pokemon specifically because I was looking and I don't think Goldeen and Seaking are in this game, but they were in the Sinnoh Dex. Those were the first ones that I saw. And I was like, they're not in this
No,
game.
I mean like Pokemon introduced in Sinnoh.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right.
Wow.
That makes sense.
Okay, but mine, I'm going with Black 2, White 2.
I knew it. You said you personally say that those have the best story in Pokemon, right? That's part of why you like
the best
that game?
story. It's the best story in the game. I think it's the best complete package in Pokemon.
Okay.
Like from top to bottom. And like I
Someday
said,
I'll
I
play
will
them.
always say it is the spiritual sequel to Gold and Silver in my mind. Because they share a lot of the same story beats.
Are they in the same region? I have no idea where Black and White take place.
Oh no, they're in Unova, but the events in Black and White 2 take place 2 years after Black and White, in the same sense that Gold and Silver takes place 2 years after Red and Blue.
Okay. All right.
And just compared to all the other regions, it's the only region that feels like a cohesive place, in the sense that like the gym leaders know each other. They do things for their communities. They do things for the region. Like the team, like when they started doing terroristic activities, it affected how the region acted, and there was responses to that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it feels like most games, you go to a city and everything is isolated in that city. And then you go to a different city, where everything happens. In Black and White, it's not like that. Things that happen in one city affect another city. They're all collectively aware of the state of the world that they live in and the happenings. So I thought that was really cool. Need more of that.
Yeah, I mean that sounds fantastic. I think we'll get into the story of Legends in just a moment, and I think we'll have some strong feelings about some of the stuff that takes place in this game. But I guess for what it's worth, my favorite Pokemon game, it's hard to say because it's really hard for me to not just pull at my nostalgia and say Pokemon Red because it's my first Pokemon game. It's probably not the best Pokemon game, but it's my favorite Pokemon game. How can you beat the first? The first that you played. So there's that. If I had to not say Pokemon Red, it might probably be controversial because I think most people don't like these games, but I also like Ruby and Sapphire, so I'd probably say those. Anyways, I mean, let's just jump right into it. We can kind of no holds barred. If you're listening, we're gonna talk about the game in entirety. So if there's things you don't want spoiled for yourself, or you're worried about what we might bring up and you haven't finished the game or something, this is your cue to leave and come back at a later time. I'm sure just because they're tied, we may talk about Diamond and Pearl at some point. So if you're worried about having Diamond and Pearl spoilers, I don't know if we'll actually talk about those games, but because they're sort of related, you may want to back out as well at some point. But with that being said, gloves are off. I think overall, do we all agree this is a good game? Like, despite its flaws, are we all? I mean, clearly Ken and Luis both said it's potentially their favorite Pokemon game, so I think their opinion is pretty solid on those. But Greysun, you and Odell both loving this game overall?
Oh yeah, it's solid.
Definitely.
It's one of those things where, like, as a game, I think it's good, and then if you love Pokemon or you care about the lore and stuff, it just gets better from there.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. It's one of the first time. We'll go into detail later, but I think it's one of the first times that I played a Pokemon game that everything, all the mechanics, even if they're not perfectly like fine tuned, they flow so well together. Like being able to catch a Pokemon and fly away, and having that like, thing pop up like, oh, you caught this Pokemon, you got this experience. You don't have to like stay there and look at a screen for the whole time and like exit the battle. It's like everything is so fluid and fun, and I think that's why I like it so much. Like, I think it's just like the mechanics work so well together. And even though I think the story doesn't do anything crazy, there are some really cool moments. I'm like, oh, this is really like dark for a Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With your love for the Monster Hunter series, like, I know some people make some comparisons between these two games specifically. How are you as a Monster Hunter sicko? Like, how does this scratch that itch for you, or do you think they're just not even comparable in any way?
No, I don't even get like the Monster Hunter comparisons at times. Honestly, I think the only reason they get compared is because Monster Hunter, the games always have like 5 or 6 different like biomes, but you're not like capturing Pokemon. You're not like you're just going to fight one monster and you're returning from the quest. Mm-hmm. So I kind of see the similarities, but I kind of like dislike when people compare it to Monster Hunter because the mechanics, the combat is nothing similar at all.
It's like a very blanket comparison where it's like, hey, there's different biomes and different quests, and you get quests from a quest board and whatever. And return back to a hub world.
I can totally see the similarities, but
yeah, okay, all right. What were some of the things story-wise that you all did or did not like for this game?
For a game, there's a lot of talking in this game.
A lot.
And normally, I don't expect voice acting, but there were some times where I was like, bro, I need someone to talk because this text is getting too much. I can't tell you how much important things I'll probably skip because I was just like, especially that Melee guy, the one that calls you a scrub or a rookie or whatever he calls you. I was just like, bro, anytime I'm like, bro, I don't care. I do not care. Please stop. So for a game that has so much to say, I'm just like, man, we needed people to voice act. And like Greysun said, the story is not really all that. So I was just like, why y'all really trying to hit like that 10,000 word count on this one? Like, bro, I get it. Pokemon is raging. It's in a frenzy. I gotta stop it. I don't need a 20-minute speech bubble if we're not going to do cutscenes here. Small gripe, but it's a gripe.
I see
like
Ken
it's-
making faces. Get in there, Ken.
Well, I feel like that's something that the series has kind of been slowly, like as technology has progressed and they've started having to pull their games into 3D and be more cinematic. Like there's like a weird scene in Sword and Shield where like I won't like get into spoilers about it, but like there's a character that is singing and doing all like the motion capture of it, but there's no voice, there's no music actually being played, and there were a few moments like that, like in the I guess one of the last encounters that you do with a legendary Pokemon in this game. It gets really cinematic for a second, and then a character like mouths something, and then the subtitles come up, and I'm like, Pokemon is like one of the most profitable things in the universe, so I'm pretty sure they can afford like hire voice actors
Yeah.
to get that work done.
At least for like
Yeah,
key scenes like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe
like,
not
I
the
know
whole
exactly-
thing, but
Like I know exactly what scene you're talking about, Kenneth, and I agree. It's like that scene would have been so much more like impactful or like cooler if they were to have like full voice acting or good voice acting at least. Just because you're like, whoa, I did not expect this to happen, like especially in the post game.
I will say that overall, I don't think the story hit me, and I wasn't super attached to the story in a lot of ways. But I don't know if that's also because I'm not super attached to the story in most Pokemon games. Because, like, for me, Pokemon's, like, mostly about, I want to catch Pokemon. I want to complete my decks. I want to meet these fun little animal creatures. And that's where I'm at. Like, I just want to, like, that's why I love this game so much, because I think the gameplay loop of catching Pokemon in this game is so relaxing and fun. And I've heard other people mention this, and I kind of really agree with this mentality where it's like, because of the way the game is structured, where you're constantly catching Pokemon or doing specific things to quote unquote complete their Pokédex entry, it really feels like you're actually researching Pokemon kind of in a way, where it's always, I feel like every Pokemon game starts off with the professor in that game giving you a Pokédex saying he wants you to research all of the Pokemon in the region, where this is the first game where you kind of actually feel like you're kind of researching it a little bit. It definitely borrows beats from Pokemon Snap in regards to like, completing certain tasks for certain pictures or certain Pokemon. So I liked those elements a lot, and that fluid gameplay loop of, like you'd said before, just you can throw a Pokeball, hop back on whatever the not Stantler thing is called.
Deer.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I have all these Pokemasters here, so
we need
I
to
can
put
just.
some respect on his name.
The only of all those partner Pokemon, the only one I know the name of is Basculegion. I don't think I could name any of the other ones. Is Braviary the flying Pokemon you get?
Yeah.
All right, I just and then is it an Ursaring that you get for the other?
Ursaluna.
Is that a new Pokemon? Is that like a new evolution of Ursaring for this game? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. Wordier. There we go. Nailed it. But yeah, just like pulling out Wordier, and like, you don't have to. I do wish you could, and maybe you can. I didn't look. I wish you could turn that sound cue off, because when I'm like out in a biome, I'm just constantly catching Pokemon and then immediately like going to the next Pokemon, and it's just constantly whistle. I'm like, I need to stop listening to this whistle noise. Yeah. But back to the story.
The vibration goes really hard too whenever you do anything like the agile style or the strong style. You're like, okay, can you just not like break my switch right now?
That is one of my biggest issues with just Switch games in general, that don't give you
God.
the option to turn vibrate off. I just, when it's in handheld, like when I'm laying in bed playing my Switch, if a game doesn't let me turn that off, I'm like, what am I doing right now? This is the loudest thing on the planet.
There's definitely moments where like a cutscene will play. I'll put the Pro controller on my desk and zone out, watch the scene. I was like, oh crap, I forgot. But getting back to the story beats too. Yeah, I think this game came out trying to be really ambitious with some sort of grand narrative. Tell the prequel to this whole region. And I think what it does, I guess, in interesting ways, is have very serious moments for I guess, a series that doesn't typically have very serious moments, but then it doesn't really feel like it pans out anywhere, so it's hard to take it seriously afterward. Uh, it feels like it sets stuff up that never happens, or just like leaves you hanging. And I think that's why a lot of us, yesterday at the time of recording this, were waiting for some sort of story DLC or like some sort of hint that something was going to come in the future.
If I can throw a wrench
get in there
into this particular session, I think the story of this game is actually pretty fucking good, and it's probably my favorite one in a Pokemon RPG. And I've told the story on a couple of podcasts at this point, but having just come off of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, which again, like those were remakes of what I had up to that point considered to be my favorite Pokemon game. As an I guess as an adult, like, I had to kind of confront like, oh, the world of Pokemon, like, you know, they're introducing like the gods of the Pokemon universe in that game, and it still just kind of feels small and in like scope. And it was like especially weird like playing those remakes because like you get to Palkia at the end and he's there like for a 30-minute stretch of story, and then you catch him and then you move on, you get back to the Pokemon League. Where here, this game feels like it is really dealing with like the lore and the the mythology of Pokemon in a way that most games don't, because they are so concerned with like you getting your badges and being the the champion. And so for me, like honestly, like when the Rift in the Sky like started to expand and then you get exiled by the Galaxy team, like that point to roughly the post credits final boss is like my favorite stretch of Pokemon story in a game, I think. Like I am like a more than I am a person that like catches Pokemon, like it tries to like catch and collect all the Pokemon, or that gets really into the competitive scene. I am a person that just cares about the world of Pokemon, like above all else. And so that's why on top of all the things we talking about, like these this really like this fluidity to the way that you just exist in this world, like all of that's well and good. All of the changes they made to the battle system are those are great. I'm a big fan of all of those, and I think if like they hadn't taken those strides, I don't know that it would still, even with like my appreciation for the story, I don't know that it would be in contention for my favorite Pokemon. But just as like I think as I become an adult, like I've kind of like honed in on why I still am attached to Pokemon in the midst of being almost 30 years old at this point, is that it is so, there's not a world in video games that really like draws me in the way that the series does. And this was the first time that it felt like a mainline Pokemon game was really like fitting with the possibilities of this world, and that it felt as large as I imagined it as a kid.
Yeah. Right. Do you? Oh, go ahead, get in there.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I don't think the story's bad. I think it's just as good as most Pokemon game stories is. Take that as you will, for better or worse. But I will say this: this is the first game that got a real emotional response out of me, because I was pissed when they kicked me out the village. I was like, how dare you? I was like, I came up in here, clean this, because he did it disrespectfully. It wasn't like, yo, he was like, yo, get out now. Don't I didn't even get to change my clothes. I had just had my winter coat on. I'm like, bro, I'm running around in the obsidian wild fields with my winter coat on, bro. I couldn't even like, I don't care. Like, I was pissed I had to have a coat on and non-coat weather for an hour. Like, it legit ruined my mood. I was just thinking, I was like, bro, when I get back there, like, I'm burning that place down. I don't know why. They just upset me beyond belief. 'Cause I was like, man, this coat's cool, but like the second I'm not in the winter weather, I'm gonna take it off. But I didn't get the chance. So I was upset about that.
I think even as we're like half joking about that moment, I think that moment's like really effective, because like you go into this game being like, okay, I'm gonna see the ancestors of all the characters in Sinnoh. Like you're gonna see the ancestors of Rowan and Cynthia, of everybody. And what really stuck out to me is that like you go into that first place and Silene is there, and like who is clearly like the ancestor of Cyrus, who is the villain of Diamond and Pearl. And so you're like, okay, I got my eye on you. Something's gonna happen. There's gonna be a turn. And then ultimately, like the people that betray you in this game are the ancestors of like your ride or dies from Diamond and Pearl, because like it's Rowan's ancestor, and then I mean this is another thing we haven't talked about. It's Cynthia's ancestor. Both are like the villains of this game. One of them, I guess one was more like a kind of a temporary antagonist more than he is a villain. But like that again, like going back into like when I feel like this felt like it was more in tune with the mythology of Pokemon, like when you get to that last fight with Volo and Giratina, and like you realize that like this like Giratina has been basically behind all. Well, these two have both been behind all of this, and it plays into how like Giratina is like the Satan equivalent in Pokemon mythology. Like wanted to cause this chaos that would bring Arceus out and then strike him down. And Volo being like almost like a religious zealot in this world. And because I mean, in a lot of cases, Arceus as a concept is not often referenced because like he was a mythical Pokemon that was not like in the game for Diamond and Pearl. So just never really like acknowledged like, hey, God of the universe. This is like a major story beat or world beat that we're introducing in this game that we just never really did anything with until now. Well, except for like the movies, I guess, but that's like a separate continuity. So.
Yeah.
I think Ingo's story, like, I wanted more from that, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a really cool thing to fully elaborate and go in on, but they didn't. I'm kind of sad about that.
Ingo is the shop, the guy that was ended up being bad, right? Like the guy who was like a ninja looking guy.
That's the guy with all the train metaphors.
Yeah, he's.
Okay. Never mind.
The person that was like the guardian of Sneasler, or.
Who takes you to who escorts you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because that's like, I mean, for context for anyone who doesn't know, like that Ingo is a character from Black and White that is like a character that you have to like really go out of your way to find. Like he's not a gym leader or somebody that you might have always seen, but the implication being that he has also been dragged from the present into this world because like he's dealing with like memory issues, and there's like this really tragic figure in this game that I think it again speaks to like a lot of those darker themes that this game gets into. But also like underscores that like the A plot of this game does not resolve, which we can get in later. But yeah, like character writing like that and character just like, moments like that really brought this game like on top of all the lore stuff. Like really just put this game ahead for me in terms of a story in a Pokemon game.
Yeah. Do you think that the story and lore being displayed in this game, like, does it create any inconsistencies for the previous Pokemon universe prior to this game coming out, or is it like pretty cohesive in establishing more backstory and lore to the Pokemon universe?
I think it depends on where you stand up. Like, there's some inconsistencies, but I can argue that either A, it's a translating error, or B, like they just don't have like like people thought the world was flat, and then like people had technology and they're like, oh, it's not flat. So that type of thing. Like one of the things that like blew up on Reddit was there's a line at the beginning that Professor Lavington is like, all Pokemon can shrink. They all have this innate ability, and that's how they fit in the Pokeballs because they all shrink regardless if they have that power or not. And it's like, that's just not true. But also this game starts off with you getting shucked into the past / different dimension. So in my mind, any inconsistencies can just be like, I mean, you're this is like make believe story. So
you're ignorant. So like,
yeah, you fell through a time space rift or whatever the hell it's called. So it's like anything's, anything can go.
Yeah. So, but in terms of deepening the lore, I'm gonna say no. I mean, other than introducing new Pokemon, that's a thing. So at some point, it's just got to be like, what's up with this? Because it's not like Kisui's like a new region; it's just the Sinnoh region. So, they're got to retcon some stuff with that. But I don't think this game gave me any new information that I wasn't already privy to. Okay. I mean, it was cool. Some things were cool. I really thought Carnados and Showdown were going to be alive in this game, so I was surprised that they weren't. So that was interesting to me.
Are those the fossil Pokemon from
they're
Diamond
fossil
and Pearl?
Pokemon.
Yeah, that's actually interesting that they didn't do that. It's kind of weird. I guess since we already kind of touched on it a little bit, we can kind of go into that. With the way this game wraps up, I mean, it feels like the general consensus out there in general is that people are hoping there's more DLC to this game that kind of fully fleshes out the ending or just provides more for some of these characters. Are we all kind of on that same page of hoping that we see whatever, I forget what the DLC was called for
like the Isle of Tundra, Crown Tundra.
Yeah, I knew they had names. It wasn't just like DLC. Crown Tundra and Isle of I don't remember.
Isle of Armor.
Isle of Armor.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, so like what would be the want there for from a expansion to this, or is the want give us a new game at some point?
I think it would have to be a new game. For me personally, I would want something that would expand on battling, but the battling system in this game is kind of busted, so I feel like probably not. But there is a part, if you look at the map, there's like parts that I'm like, maybe something could be over there. They can add. There's parts of the map where clearly something could fit.
Yeah.
When you put together like the pieces of the puzzle, and I'm like, they could probably add something. But honestly, I would think we're probably better off like having another game in this style, because in terms of DLC, like if you complete the story post game, and then you do everything, I'm not sure what more you can add other than adding like co-op, or like maybe you could battle people, like just adding things that already existed in other Pokemon games. But I don't know if you could add something story wise or new to this game that would be worth it. That's just my opinion. That would be worth, like a $19.99 price tag.
Like for me, yeah. Like I feel like this game is pretty complete. Like I don't think there's not really much that I would want to see more added to it. I would rather see like a new game and them try to kind of improve on the mechanics that they've introduced here. Because the Sword and Shield, I finished that from start to finish. Didn't really do much stuff after the credits, but like I didn't play either DLCs, and I'm a big Pokemon fan, but for some reason I just didn't interest me at all because I wasn't like a big fan of Sword and Shield. But yeah, this I don't know. I feel like I spent like 40 hours I think already, and I'm still just like there's so much stuff for me to do. I feel like, so I don't know. I don't really see the need for like more content. Unless they do like small updates like he was talking about. Like I would love to, even if it's busted, I would still like the chance to battle people online, just for funsies. Not like in a serious competitive way, but I think like that definitely should be added in a bit later on.
Ken, you seem like you have thoughts about additional story.
Yeah, the story's not finished. Like I assume a DLC for this game would probably be like another map or two, like maybe two DLCs, one with each new map. But like you don't go home at the end. Arceus just like, I mean, again, we don't need to get into like specifics of like the fight, I guess, but like you get Arceus, and he's like, all right, well, let's go vibe in Hisui, and then like, okay, what about like me and the guy from Unova that you just dragged into the past and did not send home? Yeah, and I don't have like too many like grand opinions about like putting like new features in, or like making it like I guess more feature comparable to like a mainline thing, or like putting in competitive or all these other modes. Something I just, the story's not done, and that is like my one priority. If like you ask me like what is the one thing I want in this game, I would like the story to be finished, because I've kind of like there are theories, and I think the game ultimately supports it, that like you're playing as the main character of Diamond and Pearl. And the thought of them just being like sent back into the past and just living there for the rest of their lives and dying there, that kind of messes with me. That upsets me. And I think there's part of me thinks that the reason that it does end without actually ending is because it's leaving it open for DLC. So it's like still allowing you to be in the world of Hisui and go to another map or whatever they're gonna put out. Because otherwise, like I mean, I'm about to hit 100 hours and I'm about to complete the Pokédex entries of everything that's in there. And I'm like, I don't really have much reason to stick around now. I've done the game, so I would like to go home. I would like to see that resolution, and I would like it for Ingo as well, because like that's like the one that's even more fucked up to me, is that like that's a guy that's like dealing with like the fact that his memory is fading of his past life because he's been here for so long, and he's just like that story's not resolved, and it just kind of like leaves it on, and that's like a very dark thing to just leave it on for a Pokemon game. And I'm not saying that like it shouldn't be dark. It should, like, or that I have a problem with like an ambiguous, almost tragic ending. But like it doesn't feel like the game is set up like the plot beat of like, oh, this character's gonna stay here for reasons X, Y, and Z. Like it's just like Arceus just like hops in a Pokeball and says, let's go stay in the region that I sent you to. Let's just live here forever. And I was like, okay,
sure.
That's incomplete as fuck.
Yeah, I think adding on to that too, my biggest thought after would be timelines and how this affects established games already. Like, are we retconning what we've played thus far? How would that work? Because essentially you're having people from the I guess would be technically the present, goes back to the past, somewhat alter events that happen differently, but technically once they were established. So like now that you've played Legends, or essentially how Legends changes what, who knows what originally happened, like how does that change modern day Black and White or like Diamond and Pearl? Are we retconning not just like story wise? Are we retconning like gameplay mechanics? Is now suddenly, maybe prior to Legends Arceus happening, maybe that timeline happened slightly differently, and that's how we ended up with the modern day mainline games. Uh, Now having Arceus, maybe now all future games in present time would also be like Arceus. Uh, and I have like a lot of questions on how that's happening. Same with Ken. Like I want more resolution for those characters, or like, are we going to stay playing as those characters now and just go throughout the years moving forward? Um, I doubt we'll see that in the DLC. I expect DLC to be something like kind of hacked together battle system for like online multiplayer, and that's about it. But I'd like to see a lot more of the story. And my worry is that they're just kind of gonna leave this here, and like maybe every few years do a new Legends game that just goes to a different region and it doesn't like reference anything in the past.
I guess.
Like,
I mean, honestly, I think that's gonna happen because if you look at Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, I mean, those are two different stories, and the events of Sun and Moon and the events of Ultra Sun and Moon are like night and day. But you know, they're in the same region and quote unquote the same people, but they have no effect on each other. And you know, it's like, which one would you even consider canon? Because they're so vastly different that you know they can't be within like the same timeline or the same universe, or like, you know, they couldn't work. I mean, if you look into something like, you know, Let's Go, which is quote unquote a main series, you know, you got like mega evolutions and all these things. And I think honestly, like outside of like the Pokemon themselves, the new Pokemon that they added, so therefore, you know, they'll exist going forward. In terms of anything in of a cohesive story overlapping with anything else, I just don't think there'll be anything other than like maybe like, you know, some Easter eggs of like, oh look, there was a professor named Laverton back in the olden day, and that's probably as good as it'll get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, sorry,
no,
I
go,
mean,
go, go. Get in there.
Well, I think like I don't want to undersell that like Game Freak has shown a capacity and a desire to like make these really like meaty DLCs. I don't think like I would be very surprised if what we get out of future support of Arceus is just kind of like putting in a feature here and there, because like, you know, the Sword and Shield, like Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, those were like significant, and they did have like a lot of story content and a lot of character stories in it as well. So Game Freak clearly has the ability and the desire to do it. I just don't know if it's gonna happen. Like, and I don't mean that in a pessimistic sense. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know what the next year looks like for Pokemon, because like we are in this weird space of like, what does the next Pokemon game look like? Is there going to be like another actual like $60 thing you put on the store shelf in 2022, or is Arceus it, and then we maybe get DLC? So like I think, you know, it's fun to speculate, but the franchise right now is in a very interesting spot where it can go a lot of different ways, and I think we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see. Like, I mean, even like the 27th is Pokemon Day, which is, you know, the anniversary day where they typically do something, whether it's like a Pokemon Presents or whatever it might be. So like I don't think that we're gonna have to wait too long to find out. I just think that there's a lot of possibilities, and I'm trying not to be pessimistic about them, just because like I'm hoping that like I do get some resolution, and that we do get to send Don and Lucas home.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a good segue into some broader topics about the game, but also like I think it's really safe to say that whenever it comes out, I don't know when that will actually be, is that we will get some sort of DLC. Hopefully it's the things that we want. But you know, this is kind of goes into multiple topics, but the fact that this game is selling as well as it is, I believe it's the fastest selling Pokemon game, at least in Japan, I believe, at launch. The last time I looked at
Europe.
numbers, or Europe maybe.
I know it did 5 mil over the weekend it came out.
Yeah, so
Like the only number I saw.
it is selling extremely well, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to sell extremely well. And yeah, is some of that the Switch? Of course. But also, I think people in general are just hungry for this type of change in Pokemon. And I think that it puts Pokemon in a weird position going forward, because I feel like there's a lot of mixed reception to Sword and Shield, and this kind of, I think elaborates on some of the things I think people maybe had hoped Sword and Shield would have. Like, I feel like the wild area in Sword and Shield is like what Bowser's Fury is like, here's a test drive of like what we kind of want to do with Pokemon. Okay, now here's a full game about that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the next mainline Mario game is like Bowser's Fury, where it's an open world, you're not going to a hub world, you're transitioning between different, biomes, different levels, worlds, and it's all kind of interconnected, at least to an extent. And I feel like Arceus was this kind of similar, let's elaborate on these ideas we had with Sword and Shield. Let's do something different. Let's take the story in new directions. Let's model capturing, more after the Let's Go games and Pokemon Go. And it's doing really well. And it's being received overall, I think, very positively. Hopefully that, runs through the year and people give this some consideration when it comes to like Game of the Year talks and stuff, because I think it coming out as early as it did in the year might not benefit it in that regard, especially with the stacked year that we are seemingly having. But with that being said, I feel like do we think that the mainline games still continue to be a separate generational thing with two versions, and they borrow things from what made Legends so popular and so good? Or do they keep Legends separate, and Legends has these mechanics and these things, and mainline continues this more traditional, catch and battle JRPG, kill gym leaders, become the Elite Four champion,
murder the gym leaders.
Yeah,
murder all these, shoot them in the face.
Damn gym
That
leaders.
me out of my alcohol.
Yeah, what do we think will happen to the future of Pokemon? Because I think this does throw a wrench in what maybe future generations of Pokemon were going to look like. Or maybe it doesn't.
Actually, I don't think it will.
Okay.
Because if you look at Sword and Shield, it was a building block. And if you look at the Isle of Armor, and the Crown Tundra, they're dramatically different from the base Sword and Shield. Like, it's like furthering the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Arceus, and that's furthering the experiment from there. Like in the Crown Tundra, there's a town, and there's no transition from town to wild area. It's all seamlessly one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the different biomes and things. And what I see is we have kind of both of these things happen, where the mainline series is building towards this. It won't be like Legends. It just won't.
Mm-hmm.
But it will clearly, like you said, it will borrow things from Legends. It will borrow the things it tried in Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra. And Gen 9, or, however, if they're going to call it Gen 10, call this Gen 9 or whatever, it'll take elements from all these, the two past games we've seen, and we'll see those things in there implemented in a way. And I think the Legend series will also continue on its own. I think it was successful enough that we'll have a Legends-like series, and I don't know what form that could take. It could all be in the past. It could be one maybe like near future, far future, who knows? But I just think for the mainline game, there's such a distinct, this what Pokemon is.
Mm.
And and we will get better and elaborate on it, but they're not gonna go far left or far right with the core series, what we consider, the main generational titles.
Yeah.
I couldn't see them doing that, just because, like, I'm a Pokemon purist. I'm never gonna hide that fact. But I do like changing things, and it would be something akin to, because when this conversation actually happened before, when Gala Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum came out, people were like, "Oh yeah, this is the new formula. This is the new it." We're not, but that didn't happen. We had another game like Coliseum and Gala Darkness, but we still had the mainline series. And I think we'll see that same thing here. But these games improved on so much that we will see some of these things, not all of them, maybe not most of them, but we will see some mechanics make it into, quote unquote, the mainline next generational game.
Yeah. I think you might be right or close to right here, because you look at like Forza Motorsport still exists when Forza Horizon also exists, where they're similar but also very different, but both have their core audience. And I don't think just because Forza Horizon 5 was Game of the Year for some places and sold very well and very popular, they're going to not make Forza Motorsport, because there's people that want that more, technical, pure type of racing game. And I think that kind of does, like, Nintendo's not, or Pokemon Company's not going to necessarily stop doing mainline generational RPGs because Arceus did very well. If those games start to do very poorly, who knows? But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't know if anyone else has thoughts on what the future of Pokemon looks like with Legends becoming a thing, or if there's another region that you'd want to see get the Legends treatment.
Well, I got thoughts on both of those. Well, I think broadly, like, Pokemon's too beholden to its competitive scene to ever like make the hard turn just into something like Legends.
Mm-hmm.
As much as that bums me out. But I do think, like we were saying, I think we'll see like small incremental things that start to like seep their way in. Like, small things like Let's Go had Pokemon in the overworld instead of doing random encounters, and then Sword and Shield did that, which made it like weird that Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl just went back to random encounters. So I imagine that we'll see things like, the catch mechanic in this game. Like, it's too good to just like go back to like I have to walk into some grass and then pick my bag to pick the Pokeball to pick then throw it. So I think in the meantime we'll see like incremental changes like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, as much as I would love to see another Legends game, I don't know that even because like Let's Go did very well, but we have not seen another Let's Go. So
That's true.
I don't know, but I do think kind of broadly the reaction to Arceus has been just like different in a way of like this is revolutionary for the franchise. Because I mean, I think like even despite its problems, I think it kind of is. Like, it is a complete like reimagining of how these systems and this world can exist in a way that isn't beholden to something that came out 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think even despite all the leaps and bounds that the series has made sense, Sword and Shield is probably like pretty easily accessible to somebody that probably has not played these games in 20 something years. Because like it's a lot of the same systems, and just like the same loop. So again, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Like personally, I don't. Oh, sorry, you can go.
I was gonna say I don't think we're gonna see them ditch the mainline games anytime soon. But I was also thinking like the last 4 Pokemon games or like pair of Pokemon games have all been vastly different, and it seems like they don't really have any consistency. I mean, for a while the Let's Go series was here's the approachable one, and then we had the mainline game, and then we had our mainline game, and then we went backwards with Diamond and Pearl, and now we have like a very futuristic one.
We also got Pokemon Snap too.
Pokemon Snap too. First, it might be the alcohol hitting me, but I think it for some reason it reminds me so much of like the Sonic series because they always just change something vastly different with every game for some reason. Except that here it kind of works most of the time. But I don't know, the way I see it, for a while I thought we would have like a very approachable Pokemon game and then the mainline game, and now it just I really don't know. Game Freak is a really big company, but also like not big enough to make like 4 games a year, technically like double that because the game is like released twice. It seems so inconsistent, and it's hard to really pinpoint like where they're going. I imagine with the success of Arceus, they're going to keep doing that series to some extent, and eventually just integrate elements of that into the mainline series, but still keep its competitive scene because I mean they make so much money off that.
I will say, or Grayson, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, like for the next game, like I think random encounters just have to go.
Yeah.
I don't see like the next generation having random encounters like at all. I just think that like they need to really take at least like the quality of life features of Arceus, like the catching mechanics, like the Rant in the wild Pokemon showing up. Like I literally just want the next mainline game. Like I don't care if it has like the 8 gym leaders and the Elite Four formula. I just want it to be like Arceus, where like you have the Jubilife Village, but you'll have that like for every city and every town, right? Like you're exploring through these different villages and towns, and you're like, then you go in the overworld, you go capture Pokemon, you end up the next gym leader. I think that'll be like such a cool thing for like the next generation. I don't think it'll have like all of the quality of life features. Like I don't think the battle style will come back. Like the battle changes will come back like in the next mainline entry. But yeah, I just kind of want like I kind of just want more freedom in what you can do and like and how you catch Pokemon and things like that.
Yeah.
And as far as like other Pokemon Legends game, I would love like a Pokemon Legends Johto. like you guys mentioned, like they did Let's Go and we haven't seen another one. So it's like, are they gonna do a Let's Go Johto? Are they gonna do a Legends Johto? Like, are they gonna just like fucking do something crazy that's like we didn't even expect? We don't know because like they are in a weird transitional period right now. We don't know what's going on. They have like other developers working on their remakes, which is like we never seen before, which is kind of actually insane. So like who knows what could happen? They could have a Let's Go Johto being worked on by Ilka and they're working on like the next mainline game. So like it's really all up in the air. And I'm just like I'm still really excited for what comes next because Legends Arceus is honestly something I did not expect. Like it may not seem for some people like such like a revolutionary thing, but I think it is like such a big step in Pokemon because they have not made maybe since like Sun and Moon, they have not made any changes to the mainline formula in such a long time. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
What I find interesting about that is because, if you look at, the developer Pokemon and why things are the way they are, there's also the famous quote that is, every Pokemon game is someone's first Pokemon game, meaning that's why some of those tropes and things stay. And for us older players, it can be daunting. But the thing that I've always thought was interesting that Pokemon did within the main series and then just kind of dropped was like, I love the idea of Pokemon coordinators and the concept of that. There's more than one way to love and be with your Pokemon in a game. And that's something that some of the games have explored, but then just kind of stopped. And that's always bothered me that, it wasn't like, okay, you can be a trainer, like a traditional trainer, or you can go like the coordinator route to where like, I don't know if there is something you pick or something you could transition, but it's like, all right, if you don't want to battle, you got to be like the best coordinator in the game. And like, there's a separate or side story, you can either do both or one or the other and still progress, and then maybe you introduce something else. But and so I would love to see a game where we don't have like, it doesn't have to be segmented between 3 different game styles, but you have your core series, and then like when they introduce these other things, there's these other ways to be a Pokemon whatever that's not a trainer, and still so that way you have this freedom to kind of vibe how you want to. So like, I'm a competitive battler and I love doing that EV training, breeding, the whole 9. But yeah, Pokemon breeder, like I don't know how you could do that in the game, but there's some people I know who just love breeding Pokemon, not even for competitive reasons, just they just do. You have shiny hunters and things like that. Right. And I would love to see the games lean into that aspect, like you can be a shiny hunter, you can be a breeder, and and maybe being the trainer would be the generic, like this is the route and this is what you would expect, but just somehow have the freedom. If you don't want to, you can still play this game and do things. And and again, this isn't a sideline game, this is just the game.
I kind of like that idea because it kind of borrows from other JRPGs where it's like you can choose a job or a class, and if that's how like the games presented themselves or a future game presented itself, where it's like, yeah, you might be like also a trainer, but you can like kind of focus on being just a whatever, and like there's a separate story path that kind of just goes for that.
Yeah, it's why I like the movie is it's okay. It's not great. I'm never gonna say it's great, but it's why I like Detective Pikachu, both the game and the movie, is like something that kind of like drew me back into the Pokemon universe after years of me just kind of like not being into it the way that I was before and I am now. Because like that was like, it was an adventure game that was all about like this world is not a monolith where everyone does the exact same thing. Like it established like there is a culture to this world beyond competitive sport, and the movie even goes far to like actually interrogate that, because like battling's outlawed there, and that's just wrinkles of this universe that I like when the series actually goes out of its way to do, which is again like kind of goes back to why the story of Arceus like hit for me, because it was so detached from that and was able to really explore this world, explore like cultures within it, and interrogate the very premise of why we usually play these games.
When I was
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say for the different roles, like when I was younger, watching like the Pokemon contests, like in the anime, I'm like, that'd be so dope to have like a Pokemon team dedicated to like Pokemon contests, and you're just going to different towns, and you're like, damn, I'm gonna get prepared, get my cute team ready for this Pokemon contest, and you just kind of like work your way to become like the top Pokemon like contest, I don't know, like person in the region. It'd be so dope to have like different jobs or like storylines that you can pick and choose from.
Yeah.
for sure.
I think that would be an interesting way to see the kind of the Legends series go, or at least this style of Pokemon game where, you don't like I battled like the least amount of times possible in this game. I was just pretty much catching Pokemon, avoiding battles at all costs, unless I really had to fight, or obviously there's some story battles that you have to go through. But like I avoided those things at all costs. I just wanted to catch Pokemon, and I mean, I spent a lot of time trying to get all the evolutions right away, but like I just wanted to catch Pokemon and hang out pretty much. And everything else was just kind of there. Is there anything else about Legends or Pokemon that anyone wants to bring up? If not, we can segue to the end of the show.
Well, we kind of touched on it, but do y'all have like a specific region you would like to see another Legends game in? Because I've come around, like I don't have any attachment to X and Y, but like that region, the region of Kalos's history is interesting to me, and like that again, one of the interesting things about this is just like watching Sinnoh's history unfold. And the story, like the TLDR of X and Y's kind of like backstory is war and a very tragic set of circumstances that led to a specific character just kind of like persisting for thousands of years. Yeah, so like I think that's a story that has like a lot of potential moments for like one of my favorite moments in the Arceus game is when Palkia and Dialga are fighting, and then the Temple of Sinnoh blows up, and you see it's Spirit Pillar. Obviously it was Spirit Pillar, but like, seeing moments like that where you see why a Ruins was in a place in a previous game. So yeah, I'm big on a Kalos game. I've also come around on Johto as well, just because I think like it also has similar moments to that. Like, and it's like Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh would have that moment, but with the Tower in Necrotic City that.
Yeah.
The beast apparently, like whatever Pokemon they were originally died and then were brought back to life by Ho-Oh, and just like I'd love to see moments like that.
Yeah,
great.
the tower burned down right before the event. Yeah, so that would be cool to see too, like seeing it happen right there, like the tower burning down or something would be awesome.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
No, you got it.
I was gonna say, for me, definitely Johto. Just I like the history of the Kansai region, especially like if we went to like Endo period times. A lot of like folklore would be interwoven with Pokemon, which was like originally what Gold and Silver originally did. But seeing like those moments in person, or I guess in a game, would be really interesting. A lot of like what Ken said about how they're establishing lore, I really love when they integrate kind of like real world history with the world of Pokemon and explain things in our world through, I guess, the vignette of Pokemon. And I think it'd be really fascinating to be able to play through that story.
I'm on board with Johto. Give me that. That's what I want.
Yeah. So this is gonna sound weird, but I would want Johto and Kalos X and Y, like you said earlier. But I would want it in present day. And the reason, so one of the things that I thought was really cool about this game was that one of the few places that's still intact, it's like as it is to us in the future, it is in the past, at Snowpoint Temple. And since Snowpoint Temple fully realized in like 3D in the space and just how huge and grand it is, made me think like, there's some really huge and grand vistas in Pokemon. Like think of like Sky Pillar. Like imagine seeing that, like a tower so high that you can't see the top from the ground, and like bellowing over the clouds, or like getting high enough and then you're damn near in the ozone layer. And I was thinking, how many Pokemon games will look amazing as like a fully realized, Final Fantasy VII remake style? Like, I remember seeing what it looked like, in 8-bit style, but this is what it would look like to scale. And I feel like Johto and Kalos are one of the few regions in Pokemon that feels like a real place. Some regions are like biomes. Like I love Black and White, but it's like we needed a desert, so here's a desert. Just because it goes here.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of the regions are. But Johto and Kalos feel like fully realized places. Like this is the coast, and these are the cities, and this is naturally where a mountain line is. And because a mountain line's right here, these cities and towns look like this, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to see Johto, to see like the national park, to see the burnt tower next to the the Tin Tower, to see the lighthouse, an olive vine, and and how grand of a structure it is and iconic, and to see all these places fully, and then the same thing in Kalos, you got basically Paris.
Yeah.
But then have like, the European countrysides, and then, the grand cities and things like that. And I was just like, it would blow my mind to be like, let's say, Gen 9 has, this great places, but we're not viewing it from this, Sword and Shield wasn't like, top down 8-bit, but it wasn't really to scale, things really, camera angles, you really couldn't see things. So it really wasn't, but to see it in the, the Legends format, I would just be like, I would love to be in awe of the Pokemon world, but not in the past, but just of the modern era. If that makes sense.
No, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
What I'll say to that is, I am the last person that complains about visuals in a video game. This game can be beautiful at times, and sometimes it is not. And I would love if they either helped the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, with more assets, more employees, whatever, or utilize someone like Monolith Soft. We just had a Nintendo Direct. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looks fucking fantastic. Give us Pokemon that looks like that. Like, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I still think this game at times is still very beautiful. Flying, maybe not the greatest looking thing, but it would be wonderful to see some of those scenes, those settings, like, realized in a more bombastic way, and not just like, here's this thing that and it's big, but like,
add some more trees. The Sky Boss is nice though.
I guess that problem starts at Nintendo, right? We just saw the Nintendo Direct. I mean, MLB 22 looked worse than the GameCube game somehow. Don't know how they did that, but they managed to make it happen. And I'm like, at some point, I feel like Nintendo has to pull the trigger and be like, we're focusing on the hardware. We're about to we have the money. We print money. We ooze money. And, everything else will just fall in place. It's like, once the hardware is there. I mean, with that said, I'm amazed that Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild 2 even look as good as they do. I don't know what voodoo magic they're working on in the code, but I'm like, that's the only thing that could look good, legit good on the Switch in my mind, because everything else, I mean, there's no excuse to look worse than GameCube era. Like, there's just not. I mean, that's just the end all be all. I mean, the games are so good that we can overlook it, but it's just like, imagine if they weren't that good, if they're just slightly okay, we'll all be rioting in the streets. But I digress.
Well, unless anyone has final thoughts on Pokemon Legends, we can move on to the final segment, which is What's in the Box. Now, if you don't know what What's in the Box is a game where I pull 3 games off my shelf. I read the back of the box. The first of you to get the game, there's no penalty for guessing. Guess as you see. You need the full title of the game. You get a point. And although you guys would just guess, you still go on the scoreboard, and we keep score the whole year, so come back again and get more points. Without further ado, the first game, What's in the Box? 2 powers combine, and you can guess at any time. I will obviously omit proper nouns or other things that will give the game away.
How do we buzz in?
Just say the answer.
Just say it.
Yep. 2 powers combine. A new legend arises. Set off on a new blank adventure to save the blank blank. You and your blank can accomplish anything together.
Captain Planet.
Nope.
Is that big in the box?
Blank 2 years later. That doesn't make any sense, but it's there. Film movies at blank studios. A new story.
It's the same box?
This is the same
One
box.
of the Grand Theft Autos.
Nope.
Oh, wait.
He's stuck on the combined forces part.
Wait, no. I know this. Crap. Wait, I gotta Google real quick.
I feel like that's cheating. 2 years later. 2 years later, film movies, right? Is that what you said?
Those are separate lines on the box, but those are both there.
What game has
Your
a story
theme to
where 2
this
years-
is it?
I don't know.
Wait, crap. I
Enjoy trades.
this
And
better not be Pokemon Black 2.
I'm gonna give it to you because it is Pokemon White 2.
Oh,
the fuck?
nice.
So
No,
Odell-
the clue was film studios. I was like, wait, no, crap. Which Pokemon game had the film studios in it? But once it said 2 years later, I was like, okay, yeah, it has to be Black 2.
As like a games reviewer that gets digital copies, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage here.
some of these will maybe be easier than others.
What was it? Pokestar Studios?
Pokestar Studios, yeah.
Yeah.
Game number 2. Become a true blank artist.
Oh,
Art Academy.
it's a Pokemon drawing game. What is it called?
Art Academy.
Kenneth gets the point.
Damn it. Oh, he got it. He got it. Oh, damn it. I never played it.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. I haven't. I didn't
Actually,
play.
it actually taught you how to draw Pokemon pretty well, believe it or not.
I
Oh,
realized there was a theme, and then I was like, "What? Which one do you
Yeah,
draw?"
I was like,
Will it stay on theme? Who's to say? The final game. Ancient powers reawaken.
Diamond and Pearl. Brilliant Diamond.
Legends Arceus.
No to Odell. No to Luis. What did you say, Ken?
Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
Ken, locking in 2 points. I was going to pull other Pokemon games, but some of them are very, very just too on the nose.
yeah.
what
This
they
one is yellow.
But first of all, thank you all so much for coming on. But let's go around the whole thing here and take however long you want to plug who you are, what you do, whatever you want people to read, watch, listen, follow, whatever it may be. Greysun, I said that as you drank. It's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
Wait for the worst possible time.
I know. Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Greysun Morales. Very simple. You can find my work over at GameRant.com. Like Brenden mentioned earlier, I do have a podcast, but I haven't put out an episode in probably a year and a half. But it's a Positive Players podcast. There's 10 episodes. You can listen to it if you want. Yeah, that's me.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
Kenneth.
Yeah, you can find me writing throughout the week about whatever I feel like that day over at fanbyte.com. I also do a bi-weekly retrospective podcast called Normandy FM. It was once a Mass Effect podcast. It has now moved on to other things. We're midway through Final Fantasy X and X-2, and doing Cyberpunk 2077 at the second half of the year because I like to suffer.
Love it.
You can find
Love
me.
it.
You can find all that compiled on Twitter at ShepardCDR.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What has been your favorite series you've done for Normandy FM? I guess maybe besides Mass Effect.
The Last of Us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair. Luis.
You can find me over on Twitter at Luis_GBN. I'm sure you'll find links to everything somewhere on that page. I do a lot of game reviews, and I guess upcoming reviews are Horizon and Elden Ring. Every other game that's coming out this month.
Fun times.
Busy times.
Yeah. Are you feeling the heat from February? I'm sure everyone's feeling a little bit of February heat right now.
Oh yeah, especially in LA right now.
Busy.
Odell, what about yourself?
What up? Well, I'm Oda Harmon Jr. You can find me at Oda Harmon Jr. on Twitter and all your other favorite social media. I'm around the gaming space. I do a lot of, podcasts on a lot of podcasts. So I'm here and there. I do have my own podcast, Full Circle Podcast. You can check that out. We're currently in Pokemon Month, which we started last February with Pokemon Masters and famous people in the Pokemon community. We have a new episode coming out, today, if you're listening on Friday, with Nintendo ambassador and fellow Pokemon master Abdallah Smash, where we're going to be doing a deep dive into Arceus ourselves. So be looking forward to that. And after him, we're going to have another game developer on the show. So look forward to that as well. Talking Pokemon all month for the month of February. And then one more guest surprise after that as well. So Full Circle Podcast, you could find it there or just follow me on Twitter. You'll come across. And other than that, Well, I work in games PR now, so I really don't write as much because I can't. But I'm still doing stuff like this, so always a good time.
Hell yeah. I know, I love that you're still doing this stuff. This is you're good at what you do, and you're good at obviously talking about Pokemon, among other things. But again, thank all of you so much for coming on, spending an hour with us, or with me, talking about Pokemon. And you can find everything we do at Past Controller or pastcontroller.io. You can find me at Big Room. Until next time.